Hello, hello, it's Jamie. Today I'm going to talk all about sewing improv curves. And I'm going to show you my secret weapon so you don't have to pin. I have something I call finger pinning curves for you. But before we start, I want to thank Cherrywood Fabrics for sponsoring this video. Cherrywood has a new collection called Fairy Garden. Check out the Fiddlehead Trail Quilt and the companion children's book. I think this is an awesome way to get kids involved in quilting. In addition, Carla Overland from Cherrywood, along with Elaine Poplin of Messy Goat Sews, will be teaching at Estelle Center for Creative Arts. And they are going to teach a class called Color Camp. So I will have the link in the description for you. You can check them out. And once again, thank you, Estelle Center, for sponsoring this video. Okay, let's talk about curves. So I came up with this method a few years back when I was still making traditional quilt patterns. I did a pattern called Spring Wedding, which was a bit of a, or I shouldn't say a bit, it was a form of a double wedding ring quilt. So as you know, there would be a lot of curves in that. And I started out pinning it to death. And then because there were so many to do, I pinned it less and less as I went. And I found that I didn't have to pin that many pins. I found that, oh, I could do it with 3. Oh, I could do it with 2. Oh, I can do it with none. And since then, I have not used pins. So I am going to walk you through it. So in this video, you'll see me add these pieces a couple of different ways. Sometimes I trim them after I've sewn them on, like you just saw me do. And sometimes I trim them before I sew them on. And you will see that here. So here I'm cutting the shape. And now I'm cutting where the seam would go. And I'm taking the concave piece, flipping it, laying it on the edge. I usually take a couple stitches and stop, and then I line up the raw edges and I'm holding them with my fingers. My fingers are where I would have normally put the pins. So first I finger press and then I press with the iron. This time I'm trimming before I sew it on. Here I'm cutting the seam line. You notice both pieces are right side up when I do the cutting, not right sides together. And here go the pinning fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. I even use my thumb. And then I move my fingers just like I would pull the pins out. And then I do it again depending upon how big the curve is. I was a little too close to the edge, so I'm redoing this one. And And you will notice there's a lot of trimming for this process. I like to keep it kind of tidy, and I kind of shape things as I go. Here's a nice piece of cherry wood. This one is oregano 0735. And here's a sample where I've just cut the seam line, and I will shape the outer edge later. So a couple stitches, 1, 2, 3, and my thumb. And here I am trimming it to more of the shape I actually want. The rest of the fabrics here are my designs. All of the quilts that I make these days are all my own fabric because that's what I have. I either have a stash from the days when I designed fabric for manufacturers, or these days I like to design for a specific quilt. And so those are printed on Spoonflower. And that's what you're seeing here. These are all Spoonflower fabrics. These are from the Antler Crown Girl collection. I'll put a link for you in the description. I definitely need a new sharper rotary blade. So here's an example of where I'm definitely trimming the second curve after I sew. So there go the finger pins. I don't know, maybe everybody does this. Maybe this is just like a obvious natural thing to do, but I never did it in all the years that I've sewn until I did that one quilt. So I hope it's something new and useful. I know I've shown it a little bit in a couple other videos, but I've never actually featured it. So this is also a cherry wood. This one is called Shadow, and the number is 0910. These fabrics, the cherry wood and the Antler Crown Girl fabrics, are also for a challenge that we're doing in my Quilt Like an Artist community. So if you're interested in learning more about that, we have a challenge once a month where I put out usually a panel and coordinating fabrics and cherry woods. And then the members can choose to participate or not participate. And it's so interesting how the same ingredients make completely different quilts. It's absolutely fascinating. I really love it. I want to do a video for you on some of the results of the members challenge results from the members, because they're really doing some interesting work. And I think I'm just gonna wait until I have a number of challenges under the belt, so we have lots to show. So stay tuned for that. Or if you want to get a up close look, you can join us. I'll put a link for the community here. Speaking of fabric design and the community, the other thing we're doing is we're doing the 100-day challenge. I shouldn't say we, a few of us are doing the 100-day challenge, and we're posting our work on the community site. We have a little special place for it there, and so I'm doing fabric design, so I create a new print every single day, and the members who are following along and creating their 100-day challenge work will have the opportunity to have me put it into repeat for a pattern, and then they're going to be able to upload it to Spoonflower and have their very own fabric. So that's been exciting and fun as well. I'll show you a couple of the things I've designed. We're in the very early stages of the 100-day challenge, but here's a couple of them. All right, this beautiful color is called Jaybird, and it is Cherrywood 0980. Isn't that a great name? Jaybird. When I was in high school, we were the Blue Jays, so Jaybird has a special meaning for me, I guess. I just really enjoy the freedom this improv method gives you. I'm so happy I discovered it. So have you done any of this improv piecing, and have you done curves? Just curious. What were your thoughts? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Okay, this is Cherrywood Charcoal. 1310 is the number. I like how these kind of look like eyelashes above an eyeball. They don't stay that way for long because of course I trim it, but it made me kind of smile. All right, 1, 2, 3, and thumb, and here we go. if you haven't done this finger pinning and you give it a try, let me know what you think of it. Takes a little practice, but I think it's way, way, way faster than pinning. Just don't sew over the pins when you're using your fingers as pins, if you know what I'm saying. Just sorting through my fabrics, looking for one more. I think somewhere along the line I had one little almost pucker, but when I felt it, when I finger pressed, it didn't stay. So it ironed out completely flat. It just looked like maybe I was going to have a pucker. So I did pretty good. So if you have the concave on top, that's the flexible one, and that is where if you're going to get a pucker, you would get a pucker. That's why if you put it on top, you'll be able to prevent it. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 thumb. Actually 1, 2, 3 thumb. Yeah, right there. I think this is the one with the pucker right there. But then I was able to press that right out so nicely. And I also have the selvage right here, but I can trim that away easily. This is the first time, honestly, that I've built, used curves in this way where I built it out into a big oval or circle. And it's really a fun process. I will do this again for sure. I don't know if you noticed, but in the middle there, I took a curved slice of one of my scraps from my hand-pieced hexagons, the yellow and the orange in there. I got my hand over it now, but there, you can see it there. Okay, that's it. I want to thank my sponsors, Estelle Center for Creative Arts and Cherrywood Fabric. Without you guys, I might not be on YouTube anymore. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And if you are watching this to the end, thank you, because that helps as well. I will see you next week. Take care, my friends.